What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about God of War 2 or God of War Ragnarok, whatever you want to call it. I know some people say God of War 5. I don't think you can technically call it that because the 2018 God of War was just God of War, not God of War 4, and there's technically Ascension. God of War's names are very, very confusing. But no, honestly, in this video, I want to talk about why this game needs to be or is going to be, whatever you want to say, a PS5 game, a PS5 only game. Now, this comes hot off the heels, smoking hot off of the Horizon Forbidden West video, which, let me tell you, I'm recording these back-to-back. I'm just kind of forecasting that a lot of people are going to have some very mean things to say, very anti my opinion. Again, completely cool, but I'm just assuming that's kind of how that went with Horizon. God of War, I'm taking kind of the similar approach. Horizon, so let me recap for those that have maybe skipped out on the first one. Horizon, I think it's a big mistake that it's coming to PS4 and PS5. I felt like that was going to be the first game that was made for next gen, made for PS5 only. Seems like Demon Souls is that game, right? We talked about that in that video. That's pretty much where I stand. I want a Horizon to be a game built for the ground up for PS5. I just factually do not think that's the case. That's not true because of it coming to PS4. Same thing with Miles. Same thing with Sackboy. God of War. Now, God of War is very different, in my opinion, for a couple of reasons. One, and we really do have to look at each of these. Number one, it was teased at the end of the event. Now, you could say, well, that's such a small thing. And also, we don't really have all that much to go on with God of War. We have Kratos' voice. We have, again, we have the symbol itself. We have the words with Ragnarok is coming. All that stuff. That's pretty much all we have. That, I think, is them hiding it in a good way, because this is that one. In fact, didn't Jim Ryan even say that, where he said, like, this is our one last thing kind of thing? So this really is where, okay, we have one final thing to show you. It's a surprise. It's going to blow your minds. Here you go. It's very, very little. There's not much going on. This probably is their fall game. If you look at their schedule, you look at, like, the springtime, Horizon seems to probably fit really well there. You could probably forecast some games, and then God of War would most likely be in the fall. That's another thing to keep in mind too, is they said 2021. That could very well get pushed. We know this is the year of everything getting pushed. Obviously, that's next year, but obviously this could continue into next year. And when it comes to 2021, yeah, it could go into 2022. That would make it even more likely that it's PS5 only. But even if it is just the fall, even if it's just fall of 2021, I really do think this needs to be that game that abandons, and again, not in a malicious, I mean no harm at all. I'm not against anybody who says, I want God of War on PS4. I mean, I get it. I get it. You don't want to spend $500, $400. Some people don't have it. Some people just can't upgrade. I completely understand. That's why I never agreed with Microsoft's system of not leaving behind everybody for 2 years, holding back their own games and consoles. I never, was like agreeing with that. I never was on their side, but I respected them that that's their standpoint and they're sticking with it. Sony, like I talked about in the Horizon video, seemingly they lied. Seemingly they made it up that these things are only possible on next gen, and they said, oh, just tricked you. We're actually having them come out on current gen. God of War cannot be that. God of War needs to be that game. In my opinion, God of War needs to be that game that comes out and says, you can only do this on PS5, and so it's only on PS5. We're not doing PS4. And again, seemingly there is willingness from Sony to do it. You look at even Demon Souls, from everything that I've seen, that's only PS5. So there are examples of games, by the way, that are only PS5. I get that. God of War will be that next big one. I do not think it'll be on PS4. Another thing to consider, it's coming out in 2021. If it came out in April, that would be 3 years since God of War 2018, okay? If it comes out in the fall, it'll be 3.5 years. This is a game, and I have said this. I don't know, I can't I can't have like a citation, okay? But I'm positive that in multiple videos throughout the last, 6, 7, 8 months, I have said games made in 2018 and later are made for next gen. Games that were made before could be, could also not be. Now, again, that's where I kind of got fooled with Horizon. Horizon came out February of 2017. Then we had the Forbidden Wilds come out, the DLC. So I thought, okay, that game probably started development, second half of 2017. They could very easily have been doing it with the PS5 in mind. Again, in my opinion, they made it for PS4, and they're upgrading it for PS5. Not necessarily that they built it from the ground up on PS5, and then they had to downgrade for the PS4. That's my opinion for Horizon. For God of War, I think it's the opposite. I think they stopped April of 2018, and then when they started, they absolutely, were ready to go for PS5. I mean, you just look at it, GTA, obviously that's been in early development. BioShock has been in development for a couple-ish years, right? These are games that I think were made from the ground up only on next gen. So it's been in the works as of right now for like 2.5 years. It had to have been made from the beginning, again, ground up for the PS5. That's really my bet. And, it's a predictions. I'm not all-knowing. I'm not all-seeing, right? I can't guarantee it, but I would probably wager a fair amount of money that this will be the game. Another thing is, look, you ultimately do have to look at this as probably the biggest thing. I think the development time makes the most sense. I think if you do 3.5 years, we know it's easier of making games on PS5 than it was PS4. Again, like, they definitely were making a game for the PS5 if you start it in 2018. I think that's pretty much all of the knowledge you need to know. But if you want to add one last thing, here's like the grand slam, is for God of War, again, you look at what Sony has said. I'm going to call them liars. I'm going to be, I guess calling them out in that way. I know people are just flat out, not everybody is going to like that. Again, completely cool. I'm a big Sony guy. A lot of people call me a Sony fanboy. I would love to see what they say now. But people call me a Sony fanboy, but I'm willing to criticize them when they do something that I feel like needs calling out. And what they said was very contradictory to what Microsoft said, where, again, Microsoft said every game is coming out on both. And then Sony said, well, games for PS5 are for PS5. They're not for PS4, they're for PS5. Again, I actually not only respected that, but I was agreeing with Sony's. With Microsoft, I just respected them. I didn't actually agree with that stamp. I mean, just factually, I went on PlayStation's side. If you don't like it, that we just have a disagreement there, and that's totally cool. God of War needs to be them proving to us that, okay, God of War comes out October of 2021. It's a year after the PS5 is out. We are not doing it on PS4. Flat out. It's only on PS5. You got to get the PS5. If you don't have the PS5 yet, I'm sorry. There's other games, the sports games of this year for PS4. There's other games that, were backwards compatible or, I don't know, whatever you want to say. Far Cry was PS4. Horizon was PS4. Obviously, Far Cry not being exclusive, but God of War is only on PS5. This is really where they need to put their money where their mouth is, even though it really doesn't have anything to do with money, but it does have to do with their mouth. This needs to be that game. That's a real, honestly, it is it's a talking point, but it's literally the whole idea of what Sony has said over the last several months, and they need to stick to it with that game. That's the biggest thing that I said earlier with Horizon and in the Horizon video. That's my biggest thing, is that was the game. I had expected Miles, okay, to recap again that video, I expected Miles to be PS4, mainly because of the connection with Spider-Man, like the 2018 Spider-Man, mainly with that's a very fast turnaround to make a game like this. I did expect it to be both, okay? I understand that. But with Horizon, I really thought they were going to put their foot down and say, all right, we're going to lose a lot of people. Factually, there's only going to be so many PS5 owners, not as many that there were PS4 owners. We're putting out Horizon. It's probably not going to sell as well as it could, but we have to stick with it because this is why you buy the PS5, is for Horizon Forbidden West. So for God of War, for next fall, while Microsoft's still over there saying that games are on every console, which again, respect them for, don't think it's necessarily the greatest idea. For Sony, they need to say, I'm sorry, you played God of War in 2018 on your PS4. This is a full year into the PS5. It's coming out on PS5. If you don't have it, you can get it this year for Black Friday. I really don't see any other way around it, and I think that's where they have to put their statement. That's probably the word I was looking for earlier. That's where they need to make a statement. There's really no other game that they could do that with. What's the next game? It's going to go, in terms of big games, you have Ratchet, you have Demon's Souls, you have Miles, but then you're going to have Horizon. That's the big spring game, and then you're going to have God of War as the big fall game. There could be other ones mixed in. Silent Hill could obviously be it. Final Fantasy 16, there'll be other ones. And again, those are all statement makers too. You need to make a big statement with those. But God of War is the big one where you have to come out and say, no, this is on PS5. It's only on PS5. Not necessarily get over it, and not even necessarily get over it in a malicious way, but it's been a year. It's been a year, and we have to move on, because why would people continue to buy our next-gen console if a full, and that's always always been where I stood on this. In a year from now, if I can still get these games on my PS4, why in God's name would I have upgraded to PS5 over the next year? Why would I have dropped $500 on a console that every single game besides Demon's Souls for some reason that I could play on my PS4? For the looks, I mean, power is important to me, but it's not $500 of importance, especially when these games are still going to probably look pretty good on the PS4. You know what I mean? That's always why I've agreed with Sony's standpoint of we have to move on. We have to leave people behind kind of for the greater good of gaming. That's how I've always looked at it, and they messed up with Horizon, in my opinion. They cannot mess up with God of War. So, guys, let me know in the comments below, what do you think? Do you think God of War will only be on PS5? Do you agree with me? Do you understand where I'm coming from? Let me know your thoughts. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this YouTube channel, Podcast Now. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. And thank you all so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. I hope to see you all on the next video.